studio in South Florida, Twist Gaming. Featuring lead broadcaster, Matt Koza. Co-host and creative genius, Josh Perry. Co-host and interviewer extraordinaire, Ann Lazito. Co-host and marketing mogul, Aaron Murphy. With appearances from special guest, Lucy. Welcome to Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. We're coming to you live here from our studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you our first impression session of our Spotlight stream, where we talk about the game that we just played for you, which tonight was an Allies expansion character for Red Dragon Inn. That is Evil Pookie. It's the 50th Red Dragon Inn character, so that was super exciting. Yeah. But first off, who are we? I'm Matt.
I'm Theodore.
I'm Josh.
Man.
And we are Twist Gaming. So for those of you that are not familiar, the first impression session is where we talk about our favorite aspects of the game, any constructive criticisms we might have, and the most important question of the evening of would we play this game again?
Yeah.
So first and foremost, what kind of game is Red Dragon Inn, Joshua? I'm just leaving it as Red Dragon Inn because we only played with an expansion character.
Yeah. So Red Dragon Inn is a game where a group of adventurers have come back to the tavern after their spoils and are drinking the night away. And it's basically whoever can stay up the longest or not lose all their money.
Who can party hardiest. So it's a party game where you're not a party. I'm sorry. It's you're partying. So it's whoever's trying to not get knocked out, not lose their money.
But it's take that kind of card game.
Yeah. So we played 2 games. Josh was playing as Evil Pookie the first round.
Yeah.
I was playing as Evil Pookie the second round.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how Josh didn't win. I'm kidding. Let's talk about our favorite aspects of what Evil Pookie brings to the table. Let's try and stick with just Evil Pookie and not Red Dragon Inn on the whole. So, Anne, you are going to give this from secondhand experience because you didn't play as Evil Pookie. So I'm kind of curious also to get your viewpoint of how it was to play against Evil Pookie.
Okay.
So I rather enjoyed the doppelganger deck here. So the whole thing with the allies, the evil allies, is that we've got other famous Red Dragon Inn characters who have evil doppelgangers that are all being baddies and beating people up.
And do not have Tom Selleck mustaches.
That's a weird inside joke at this point, Ann. So with Evil Pookie's cards, as you're playing them, certain ones, and mind you that all of the artwork and cards that you're seeing are prototype, so they are subject to change right now. But if they have this symbol on the bottom right, you get to pick up a doppelganger card. And the doppelganger cards are kind of cool because they have double uses on all of them, or most of them rather, where you can either keep it for yourself or immediately give it to someone else, and then they have 2 different effects based off of what happens there. So it definitely added a little bit more difficulty to playing Evil Pookie because, as you saw a couple times, I asked you to riff while I was reading through my cards.
You actually, for once in a long time, I had analysis paralysis. I mean, you both did.
And it also gave me a rather long turn one time. It was a little ridiculous. But at the same time, I like the ability that Evil Pookie has to chain these types of things together.
Yeah.
Because it definitely felt like you were able to combo things in interesting manners, and that a lot of the cards are fairly synergistic with each other in that as well. Also, it's an evil rabbit. You know what? It's not to love there. Josh, how about you?
Oh, I agree. I do like the doppelganger deck. I don't know if there's any art in that deck, but I was looking at they have the since this is technically a villain, there's a boss deck and you can do boss mode with it as well.
Oh, cool.
So I found Fiona the Unstable.
Oh, so this is
Fiona's doppelganger.
Fiona's doppelganger. So this is just like crazed Fiona.
Yeah.
And so as you see here, you have a use for yourself on the left-hand side and a use for if you give it to someone on the right-hand side. And so these doppelgangers, they'll mimic what those characters' abilities are. So Fiona is it affects your fortitude.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm actually really excited to see like kind of how the art turns out for all this, to see all the evil doppelgangers of all the characters.
How does it work with the boss deck, which is different from how we played? Like, I know that this, like, do you play those cards and just do what's on the card? Is it an AI?
No, someone plays as a boss.
It's a one versus many.
Yeah, it's a one versus many.
Gotcha.
Which we did I think we did a spotlight of Red Dragon 6 or villains.
Yeah, Red Dragon and villains, where I know there was the vampire character.
Yeah, but there's the
I
boss mode
remember
is
that.
in that.
Yeah.
I do remember doing that.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
There's some other boss cards that there make them stronger. So this is like 2 portals on these
Ooh.
and stuff like that.
That's cool.
And they have more effects, but
Yeah, I very much enjoyed the portal deck, or I'm sorry, doppelganger deck. I keep calling it portal deck because the symbol reminds me of a portal.
While we're talking about Evil Pookie, we didn't. While we didn't get to the boss deck, we also didn't get to show off the new player mat. Maybe now would be a good time to show that off.
That's a very good point. So again, prototype component, but you get the swanky player mat. He's an uninvited guest, but I mean, why wouldn't you invite Evil Pookie to your party? He seems like he's a real cool guy.
But no, I like the flavor that they gave him.
Yeah.
I like the little kind of portal dimensions that he kind of
Manifest.
to manifest.
I also like the fact that there's villain variant art. Granted, this isn't unique to Evil Pookie, but all of the villain cards, there's like the villain wench, which was a Gorgon. There was, it's got like it adds more flavor to playing as a villain, and it's kind of interesting to see more artwork. I like more artwork.
Absolutely. I mean, we got to see a lot of the prototypes with the descriptions of what the artwork is going to be, and even reading that, I have to say, is quite amusing.
So, Anne.
Yeah.
Secondhand, how did Evil Pookie treat you?
Terribly. It was really interesting playing against the Evil Pookie cards. The player target cards are interesting. But I didn't feel attacked.
You didn't feel like they were hyper aggressive?
Correct. So I was okay. I was okay with that. Other than that, it played pretty similar. That one gambling card that Evil Pookie has, where the bunny gets the money, is a little out of control and unnecessary.
That was great. Just like wait till you win, and like just kidding, we're still gambling.
And it's interesting because all of the other characters we played with clearly have we were playing Gruff's from Studio O earlier this week, and I was mentioning how one of the things I liked about the game is that when you grab a deck, you know how the deck plays. And that's the same thing with RDI. If you grab a deck, you know how you're supposed to play.
Like Fiona, you're beating people up. With Gurky, you're shanking people, kind of backstabbing, gambling, cheating.
I didn't feel like Evil Pookie had that. I felt it was a little more rounded out as a character.
You did seem a little bit all over the place. There was a bunch of cards that affected Fortitude. There was not as much that affected... There was no healing, I don't think. I think that was the only thing that he was missing.
I think it's really that doppelganger deck that's a doppelganger of... I don't know how big that deck is. I'm assuming the 50 characters they already have.
That's very true.
So it's a little bit of everything.
That's true. The doppelganger deck gives you the flavor of everyone.
So I think his general deck was mostly just kind of summoning these doppelganger cards or the regular cards that you would have in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
But so that was interesting because when you're trying to figure out how to play against other players with an all-around character, that's a little different.
Yeah. Anything else? Things you enjoyed about Evil Pookie?
It's adorable. I mean, he's
him.
terrifying adorable, but he's adorable.
Yeah.
Is he more adorable than regular Pookie?
I can't get over the Tom Selleck stash, so Evil Pookie is the winner in this case.
All right, so moving into areas of improvement. So things that we would change if we had the opportunity on Evil Pookie. Again, caveat of, we've got prototype art, prototype cards, so we're not going to talk about like component grades
and
stuff
this is
like
a first
that.
impression session and not a thorough review, so this is
Exactly.
what we're getting at a face value level.
Literally the first time Josh and I have touched the Evil Pookie cards.
Yeah.
So, first impression. What I liked also slightly detracted in just it upped the complexity of playing as these characters. But granted, Red Dragon Inn is a game where there's many, many choices based off of which games that you're buying, because there's so many different expansions and versions that you could add together that if you didn't know better, this is a more complex character to play as.
So maybe not a character you would recommend if you're first picking up RDI?
Yeah, and I think that specifically goes towards the having to use cards right away for one ability or reserving them for another and realizing the implications of that and how it affects your hand limit.
Okay.
So there's more moving components to Evil Pookie, but again, that's could be a negative, it could be a positive.
There never was a straight answer on the hand limit.
It's in the book.
So
if you have
if
if you have 2 or more, they count against your hand limit. So the first one you have is free.
Every card greater than 1 counts against your hand limit.
Okay. I'm
So-
sure it is in the rulebook, but I'm sure that the people who are backing the Kickstarter and don't have the game in their hands don't have the rulebook, so they can't read it, and also you didn't tell me.
No, I did explain it.
He did mention it at one
Yeah.
point. I think you were going over what you're doing on your turn. Yeah, so that's honestly that's my only jab, if you will, and it's really not a detraction for some people. So, grain of salt. Josh?
The rules can be clarified a little bit better. I quite didn't understand the in front of stuff.
Fair enough.
But it was a prototype rule set and all that. So
Yeah, and I mean, prototype rule set, and I honestly didn't even read it, so I can't comment on it.
Yeah.
Josh gave me secondhand information, and granted,
But-
Red Dragon Inn is kind of RTC. Read the
Yeah.
card.
it just when you pull that card, it didn't quite you have to put this down in front of you now.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
that was the only thing I needed to reread the rules twice to understand fully what was going on.
Yeah.
But as I said, I have basically looks like a Google Doc of beta rules and stuff like that.
Yeah. So high level rules that
High level rules.
still need some ironing out.
Yeah, but
And
I'm sure that'll get fixed.
anything you didn't like playing against Evil Pookie? Did you
Was
ever?
there any way to negate the player-targeted cards? I don't think so, right? Because they didn't fall under the category of always, sometimes, whatever. You just kind of took it.
Yes.
The one that said you have to pay a gold, you were able to negate it with the pay the gold from the end.
Well, you're able to negate the impact of it through
Yeah.
a way, but it's not you can't
nope
nope
the
it.
card. Yeah, you can't
No.
nope these cards, I think.
Right.
Which I think is part of that territory is the fact that the player targeted abilities are weaker than standard cards.
That makes sense. But I think that maybe that's the only thought is that you kind of just have to take it.
Fair enough.
And I guess we probably did not make it through the whole Pookie deck, so I don't know if there's any player-targeted ones which I would be I would be,
Upset about.
yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely did not get through all of it. It's a pretty sizable deck.
Yeah.
Anything else across the board? And
It was interesting for me to see, Matt. RDI's got a big fan base and a long-standing following. I have never seen this version of RDI.
not the player specific cards.
Yeah. So this was a really interesting experience for me.
Literally just Red Dragon Inn. That's one. That's where it's coming from.
That's cool.
So the other thing just to note, if we are seeming a little bit light on what we're talking about here, we're focusing specifically on just the Evil Pookie player.
Yeah.
So not a full Red Dragon Inn expansion that you're seeing, or full Red Dragon Inn set with 4 characters, or the 2 character sets. We've just got one singular character here to look at.
We do have other spotlights from previous RDI expansions, so if you're interested more in our opinion on the game as a whole, that would be a good place to check out.
Absolutely. So I'm going to pose this question a little bit differently this evening.
Ooh, okay.
And I don't know how I'm going to ask you. So, Josh, would you play as Evil Pookie again?
Yeah.
And would you like to play as Evil Pookie?
Yes.
What happened there, Josh?
Just
All right.
pooped out.
Yes. Evil Pookie ate our camera cord.
Yes, that was Evil Pookie's fault. And I would definitely play as Evil Pookie again. I thought it was... I enjoyed the extra complexity once I got a feel for it.
Yeah.
So, yeses across the board. Evil Pookie wins.
Evil Pookie wins. Would you...
That's-
I have a question
Wait, hold
to
on.
phrase it a little differently.
Sure.
Would you back the Kickstarter to add Evil Pookie to your existing game?
I don't know how much it's going for, but
Do you know how we can find out?
we can go to
Josh
the
could go to the Kickstarter instead of looking through the rule book in his hand for his reasons. And on that same note, just as a reminder, we do have a giveaway tonight.
We do.
So hang around while Josh still scrolls. What do you-
$25.
25. I would add Evil Pookie. I mean, this got some...
New drink deck with old favorites and 8 brand new drinks. Epic Pookie boss deck for original Pookie. 2 new promo prize cards. Character deck boss deck. So it's more than just Evil Pookie.
I like the fact that it adds more drink decks, too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they have a whole new drink deck that they made for
So just
the 50th anniversary thing.
Pookie drinks?
I don't know.
Well, I think we're going to part with one last thing on this first impression session, and that's... That bunny's no good, but I'd drink that. So thank you, folks, for joining us today. Make sure that you're joining us for all of our upcoming stuff. Follow us on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and chat with us on our Discord channel. Where?
Sometimes we hunt the killer bunny. Boop, 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 boop. Little bunny boo foo hop through the forest, scooping up the field mice and bumping him on the head.
All right, so thank you, everyone. I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
I'm Josh.
Nighty-night.
Good night.